And actually, to tell you the truth, that actually plays a little bit into my off script.
Oh boy, here it comes.
I didn't do this intentionally, actually.
Okay, all right.
And I don't know, it might not be that accurate.
Yeah, give it to me.
But okay, all right. Well, Dirk, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, this one's not too hard. Okay. Well, we talked earlier about the Deloitte piece.
Right.
Okay.
Which was what?
The Deloitte, where they did the survey about the Manufacturing USA.
Oh, that's right.
Research and development.
Okay, right.
You did. You were. Well, listen now, Dirk, because you're going to have to be on the spot here in about 2 minutes. Okay. So, part of that was this idea that $600 million was federally funded, and 1.3 billion was funded by private industry.
Right.
So that's an example, obviously, of federal funds being used to support manufacturing.
Right.
But I want to show you a website right now, and I want to get your opinion on it. And Chris, if you can throw that one up there. This is the U.S. debt clock.
Oh, geez.
I don't know if you've seen this, but if you look, and Chris can maybe zoom in on that, in the upper left-hand corner, the U.S. national debt is approaching $20 trillion. And in the time that it's going to take us to do this story, it's going to probably add about $2 million.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just been 1,000 right there, and there, and there, and there, and there, and there. Okay, so look at that debt.
Yeah.
It's $20 trillion of debt, okay, on that debt clock. So
it's huge.
It's amazing. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
I mean it is, and it's shocking, and and anybody along the political spectrum would say that's shocking.
Yeah, it's a big league debt.
It's a big league debt. So we know that the Baldrige was defunded a few years ago.
Right.
We've covered that extensively here in the show. We have heard rumors, and I'm investigating right now to determine the veracity of that the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, as you mentioned, is likely to be defunded, along with maybe the NEA, the NEH, Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Yeah. So putting those to the side, because those are like, well, you can make an argument for keeping them or getting rid of them, but things like the MEP, things like the Baldrige, things like Manufacturing USA, I think these are valid things me as a taxpayer am willing to pay for, because I think it supports even what the current administration is saying that the country should do, which is support manufacturing. So what are the limits? We have a $20 trillion debt. Where does the balance come there in your mind between what we need to fund to protect our economy and expand our economy versus what taxpayers, they call it corporate welfare.
The
term corporate welfare has been thrown around a lot. Is it corporate welfare?
Well, it's a little bit different, because the way I look at it is, are you going to, and I'm sure the way they were set up is, the idea is, well, yes, there's funding that goes into it. And the Baldrige Award even set it up this way, or has described it this way. Yes, there's funds going into it, the taxpayers paying for it, but the benefit in terms of increased productivity, more lean companies, kickstarting a company that'll, maybe get out of the red and into the green, that this all pays back into the economy and into the welfare of the country as a whole, so that even though the taxpayer's footing the bill up front, the reward far exceeds what the taxpayer's putting in. So, the thing is so that would be the question, which I hope, if they're looking at defunding things like this, that somebody's actually doing the balance sheet. How much have we put into, let's say, the MEP, for instance? But what has come out of the MEP? Has it improved productivity directly related to MEP operations? Can you say that, well, we've put this many $1 billion in, but we've got 5 times that more out, for instance? If you can, then I'm saying, sure, you fund it.
But what if you can't? What if if these are soft benefits that it has to do with things like morale, or has to do with things like ideas that are generated that are very hard to pin down. These institutes that we talked about earlier in the show, and the Deloitte study, the Manufacturing USA are supporting, are down the line at some point intending to create products that are commercially viable. But it's hard to tease out how much of that was due to the $600 million in federal funding versus anything else. How do you allocate it? Or do you just take it on faith? The question I'm asking you, do you take
honestly,
it on faith?
I think if you're a Democrat, you take it on faith. If you're a Republican, you say, I want to see the balance sheet.
Maybe not. No, that hasn't necessarily been traditionally the way it's been. The Democrats generally have been not in favor of corporate tax breaks and corporate supports like this. The Republicans generally have been more in favor of these types of
you're
things.
right in that case. Yeah, right.
It's
for the corporate world.
It's a very complicated thing. But you can look at it for things like food stamps and Medicare as well. What are the benefits versus what we're losing? It's a really complicated question. I guess the idea is, how do we know? How do we know the truth of it?
To me, here's the biggest. This is why I've been chuckling about this a little bit. Is you say, okay, well, we're going to support manufacturing in the United States, so we're going to give tax breaks or tax incentives, which comes from where? The taxpayer, right? Exactly.
Right.
So we're going to do that, but we're going to defund it. We're going to defund something like the MEP, right? So basically, all you're really doing is shifting taxpayers' dollars from here to here.
Right.
So then that raises the question, okay, well, if all you're doing is shifting taxpayer dollars, we're going to take it away from, let's say, the MEP. We don't know if that's going to happen, but let's say it does. We're going to take taxpayer dollars away from the MEP, and instead, it's going to come from tax incentives for manufacturing companies. Mm-hmm. Which one has the most benefit? To me, the one that has the most benefit is not benefiting a particular company or even a group of companies. One is what benefits manufacturing as a whole. And to me, that comes back to organizations, like the MEP and
manufacturing USA.
Yeah, exactly.
That are building infrastructure.
That are building infrastructure. I mean, it's great to help an individual company. It's great for that company, but what does it do for manufacturing as a whole? So if I'm talking about the same amount of taxpayer money, if I'm talking about just shifting it from here to here, my personal feeling is probably makes more sense here where it's more holistic, where it's really dealing with manufacturing as a whole and not just helping a particular company.
That's good, Derek. You did very well.
Not like that, right?
He was on it, man.
That's my argument, and I'm sticking to it.
Next week, you get a chance to throw it back at me.
Trust me,
doubt I will do that well.
Going to do that for you.
Thanks,
All
Derek.
right.
That's our off-script segment. Yeah, we'll do that every week. That's fun. We like doing that.